All right, we should be able to hear me now. Welcome to PacWest Bigfoot. This is Dave. Oh, there's my new camera. Actually, I kind of rearranged my office. Hope you can see that. Not drinking any coffee right now. I'm gonna drink some water. And that's for all you haters out there who hate the gulping and sniffing and snorting. You gotta love it. You gotta love the whole Bigfoot community here. It is awesome. I want to give a couple shouts out real quick. William Jevning, his site is back up. I've got everything fixed for him. As a matter of fact, that's what I do for a living. So William Jevning's out there. Not to mention, let you guys know, Monster X Radio is going to actually have a subscription, a membership subscription portion of their. Actually, there's going to be basically 4 categories, I believe there is 4 different things they're going to be talking about as far as Sasquatch and other known things out here, or unknown things. That's going to be coming out here in around the beginning of April, I believe, and I would know because I'm actually putting it together. So that's what I do. But Monster X, Gunnar Monson out there, Shane Corson, Julie Ranch. I mean, all these guys are going to have all their stuff out here. Mr. Sweet, I think he's a Native American fella, and he's got a great thing going on over there. So that's going to be coming out in April. I'll let you guys know more about that when we get there. If you haven't yet, you can get over to Etsy. You can check out Catman Do real quick, and you can check out some of the really cool, awesome Bigfoot styled jewelry and trinkets out there. You'll find it absolutely awesome. So other than that, I'm going to have a page the first week of April also come out on PacWest Bigfoot. It's going to be for a lot of cool things, from books that I have loved to read, good research books, and also some fiction books that I've loved to read, and also some links to other awesome places online where you can get your Bigfoot and Sasquatch fix. Okay, so we'll have that out around the first week. This week, today, right now, we're going to be talking to Mike, and Mike is on the line, and he has had a pretty awesome encounters here with this unknown creature of Sasquatch. And I'm going to let Mike take it over. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
No, not too bad.
Nice.
How's it going with you?
It's good. So, right before we got on here, started recording, you said you had some visuals, and what I wanted to do is I'm going to let you take over, and if you could real quick, kind of give us just real quick a general area of where you were at, or exact area, because I'd like to share that on the old Google Maps if possible.
Right, and so I was going to kind of worried about, but I don't care. I'm going to spoil it. I live in Minnesota, and this is in northern Minnesota, just outside of a town called Hibbing.
Hemming?
So Hibbing,
okay.
Yep, and so if you look up now, it's, let me see, I had it written down. Where did I do it that? If you go on Google Maps.
I'm there right now.
All right, and you type in this address, it'll come up. It'll come up where I was at. It's 13043, and that's Belchner Road. So that's BELSCHNER Road, and that's Side Lake, Minnesota.
See that right here. Awesome. So that's pretty much.
And so there you go.
And I'm going to pull this up.
Yeah.
See if I can get.
I don't have it in front of me, but it was pretty. I looked at it, and it's pretty much exactly how I remember it. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'm here right now.
I'll be able to kind of guide you through.
I'm going to share this in just a moment here. I'm going to see if I can get down on one of these highways here. It won't let me get all the way down on that. I'd have to be over here, I think, yeah, it lets me get down on the old Highway 5, but everywhere else it won't let me. They're too small. They don't drive off that way. But that's okay. I've got it right here on the map. I'm going to go ahead and share that. If you want to go ahead.
No, I don't think that's.
Bring us into it.
I don't think.
From beginning to end, just kind of share with us what you saw.
All right. I was up there for a weekend. That was the summer I turned 13, and my best friend's family lived up there. So that's a private road, Belchner Road.
Hmm.
And so their whole family kind of lived up there. This kid moved down in the cities. We became really good friends. And so he's like, "Oh, you got to come up." They had a mobile home on some property up there. He wanted me to come up, meet the family, and do the whole weekend warrior thing up there in the woods, running around in the woods.
Hmm.
So we went up on a Friday. It's about a 4-hour drive from the cities. And we got up there Friday night and had to do the, go along, meet all the family. Their grandma and grandpa lived up there, um, 2 uncles, and their great grandmother. This is my friends. And so they all lived on this road here. And we got up there Friday night, and it was pretty much uneventful. Let's just put it that way on Friday. And then Saturday, we're just out, running around. Ray was showing me the whole property, and um, and they had. I'm trying to think here. Um, so if you look on the map, if you are you on Belchner Road?
Yeah, yeah, I'm right here on Belchner Road.
So it runs east and west. So if you go all the way to the west end, it's
Turns
um,
into
it
Erickson or something like that.
yeah, right. Um, but just at the very end there on the corner, right on the lake, right there was his uncle.
Yeah,
And
I
then
see
if
that.
you go east from there, you'll kind of see it looks like a bunch of junk, kind of a junk pile.
Yeah.
So just east and south. And that was called the junkyard. So we were running around out there, running around in the woods and stuff. And so we were out in that area. Now, I didn't know what I was hearing. I didn't know what I was listening to. You get up north and everybody's like, "Oh, everything's a bear, everything's a wolf."
Yeah.
So, and from listening to your stories, it's, exactly the same.
Yeah.
And so we're up there running around. Now, years later, after listening to videos, watching videos, listening to all kinds of stuff, now I know what I was, hearing back then. And we were out there screwing around, and I always felt weird and creepy. Like the place was kind of creepy. And I was used to run around in the woods, but just not that far into the woods. Sorry, I got to take some coffee. And so we were running around out there, we kept hearing some, whoops, what I would call a whoop now. After listening to some different videos and whatnot, and I heard a couple of them, and I was like, "What's that?" Me, and I'm like, "What's that? What's this? What's that?" And my buddy's like, "Oh, don't worry, it's just probably a bird or a coyote, or whatever." So but we were out there for, I don't know, screwing around in the woods for a couple hours back there,
Mhm.
and then also heard a lot of wood knocks. So, but I didn't know what I was hearing. I didn't know what I was listening to.
Mhm.
It's like the sounds of the forest or whatever. So, Saturday we were, I had just a fun day running around out in the woods, and checking out all this stuff, and so it gets Saturday night gets more towards evening, and off in the distance, him and I, we were out there all day. Heard some more, like um, to explain it, it would sound like almost like a wolf howl. But and I didn't know much about you know actual wolves, unless I seen them in a zoo. You know what I mean? I just seen them on TV. So we just attributed it to wolves making that sound, and so Saturday evening started to get pretty dark out, probably about 10. But on the Belchner Road there, so we were down on the west end at his uncle's house, right on the lake, and we decided we were going to all go take a walk. So it was I, my friend Ray, his older sister, which she was 15 at the time, and two of his cousins, which were twins, and they were 12. And we were going to go from the west end all the way down to the east, where, you know, damn near bumps into 65, I believe it's right there. And we were walking down the road, and, you know, they're like, oh yeah, it's, you know, at night you make noise because they're, oh, everything up there is bears. You got to watch out for bears. And so, you know, it's like when you walk, you know, you walk down the road in groups and make noise, you know, all that stuff like that. So we were wandering back and forth a couple of times from, you know, probably about 65 there. And it was a really clear night. And you know how that works out there too. When you're out there on a night like that, you can see. It's almost like daylight. So, you know, you can see really, really well. So we were going from the west end, walking east on Belcher Lane, and we were, you know, making noise and doing whatever. And it's like what we could hear something, you know, going on, and it was like, you know, crashing through the brush. And then, you know, we would stop walking and go, you know, everything. And we'd stop walking, and the noise would stop. So we'd start walking again, and you'd hear, and it wasn't heavy crashing. You know, it was just kind of you know, you kept hearing it. And so we're walking, and we kept stopping, listening, you know. And so we were probably about a half a mile down the road. And we heard something else. And then, so it was, you know, the whole group of us. And we stopped, you know, and it was the same thing, stop. But we were talking and making noise and stuff. And I'm serious, Dave, it was only about 75 feet away in front of us. And so we stop, and we're standing there, and all of a sudden you could see really, really, really clearly. Something stepped out onto the road. So, you know, all of a sudden the girls were like, oh my God, it's a bear. You know, everybody's like, it's a bear, you know. And it's like, okay. And it came out onto the road. It briefly stopped. So it came from the north, and it was crossing the road to the south. And so it went across the road, and looking back at it now, you know, and listening to how, you know, people describe it, I'd say it maybe took 4 or 5 steps. The road had to have been 20 feet wide, you know. And so
yeah, that Erickson Road there and everything looks pretty wide there, as well as the Sellers Road. Those are pretty wide. They look to be dirt.
Yeah. See, when you get to Sellers there and all that, and I don't even know if Sellers was there 40 years ago. You know what I mean? And Belcher's Road, when you're coming from the house on Sturgeon Lake there, the one on the west where we started, that's all dirt, yeah. And then it looks like it's paved now. For some reason, that's what it looked like to me. So anyway, so this happens. Now I'm gonna go back to another story. In '76, there was a movie, and it was called Grizzly. Have you ever heard of that one?
I think so.
And
I remember seeing that as a kid.
It was, you know, and it was about this, you know, 18-foot tall grizzly bear. Yeah. And if you follow the movie, it's Jaws exactly,
just
but in the woods.
Yeah,
yeah, just with a bear. And you know, and of course, you know, with the bears and all that, you know, when they stand up on their hind legs, you know, and this bear was just this big menacing bear. So, every time everything was bears. So they had me bear spooked at this point. You know what I mean? I'm already bear spooked. And this thing crossed the road maybe 5 steps, and it was poof into the south side of the woods there, and you could hear it going through. And and I'm like, and so me and Ray, we're walking backwards. The girls turned around and they start going. They're trucking back west. They're gonna go back down the road. And Ray and I kept walking backwards because we were making sure that this bear wasn't going to follow us or something like that. And so I was under all the myths, bears walk on their hind feet and stuff like that, and they really don't,
Not for 20 feet.
No, not for 20 feet. But when you're
I've been in
13,
a
12,
pen
13.
with, I don't know if people know, but I've been in a pen with grizzly bear, brown bear, and stuff like that. I worked at a little wildlife refuge once, and I've been around them and in a pen with them. I mean, right next to me in real life, and I can
Right.
touch them. There's no wall or cage between. I was in their area, and their pen, this big
Right.
wild area they were in, but they were people friendly. They still kept them in a pen though. Um, they're huge, and I've seen them stand up, and I've seen them take a step or two, but it's not nothing that it's not. It's just not like that at all.
Yeah, they stand up. They stand up because they're either looking for
Or trying
something,
to
or
reinforce something.
maybe, yeah, or maybe once in a while, I suppose to raise up and, hey, I'm bigger than you.
Yeah.
Let
Warning
you know
sign,
that.
reaching for things,
Yeah.
scout in the area.
So right. But yeah, so and to describe it well, I'm guessing it because it was I mean 75 feet away. Not it was right there. I live in a mobile home, so I was standing at my end of the mobile home looking down, about the same distance, and it was really close, and it was big, and I'd have to say 8 feet. I'd give it 8 feet. And this is just looking back at it. And so anyway, like I said, this thing crossed the road off into the woods it went. We heard it, going through a little bit. We started walking and trucking backwards down the road,
It was
and
heading
we got
north or
back down.
south?
It was from north to the south.
Okay. Heading down this
And
way.
yeah, so and if you look, if you got it up there,
It is.
about halfway down Belcher, in the middle of Belcher Road, if you look to the south, there's a bit of property. And there's 2 houses. God, I'm thinking somewhere in the middle there. There's 2 homes, and in the backyard of the one home, there's a garden, which is still there, which really surprised me.
Right in here somewhere.
Can you see it, Dave?
I'm looking all the way down below that, going down. What is it? Sellers Road.
No, it would be east of that.
Oh, okay.
And
I
it would
see.
be
There's
right
a home
on
here.
Belcher Road.
Oh yeah. There's a home here. It's sitting. Oh, I see it. And there's a garden right here.
And then there's kind of a little open space.
Yeah, and there's like a patch of like
And,
trees right.
yeah, and a little tree line on the garden right there.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, you're right there. So this happened just east of that when it came from the north down through the south. But we got to keep the garden thing in mind.
I got it right here.
So I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice.
No, that's okay.
So anyway, so this, crosses the road and everything, and everybody's like, oh my God, it's a bear, bears walk on their hind feet, and, you're 13 years old, you're just going by what everybody else says or what you've seen on TV, Gentleman, all the stupid, shows that we watched as a kid, and they show a bear, well, this thing, I mean, it just moved, the way it moved, and I'm talking stealthy, like I said, we heard it on the north side, kind of paralleling us for a little while. but it wasn't like loud. It wasn't noisy. It wasn't just smashing and crashing. It was more stealthy. You know what I mean?
Just a twig
So
here and
anyway,
there.
when the shadow, yeah, so the shadow will cross the road. So I figured at least 8 feet, and it was, big. It was huge.
Hmm.
So we back down the road. We get back down to the uncle's house because we're like, no, we're not walking back down because they live in a mall. They didn't live there. There was a trailer in the woods to the north side, and that's where my friends, had the trailer, and so there's no way we're gonna walk back down that road,
Yeah.
after seeing that. So anyway, Saturday evening, it started getting late. We decided, it's time to go. Everybody, all the adults wanted to go to bed, so it was like, yep. We jumped in the car, we went down, and went up into the trailer. That's on the north side, and it's up. If you
Kind of across from
about the
the
middle of the,
outhouse.
yeah, kind of across. It's a
I
long
see a
driveway.
trailer
Yep.
like house up this driveway here.
Yeah, long driveway with like a little loop.
Yes. Got it.
Yes. So there it is. That's the trailer. Now, when I looked at the Google thing, usually actually on the north west side, they had a little addition built off of it in the back, and they had an extra bed in there. And this addition was their family was a family of loggers and miners. That's what happens up there.
Hmm.
So Grandpa had his own little sawmill going, and he custom cut lumber and stuff. So they built this, and it was at one point in time it was a 3-season porch, and then they bucked it in, and so they made it into a little spare bedroom. There was no insulation in this thing or nothing.
Yeah.
So there's a bed propped in the corner. So, all right, it's time to go to bed. So I'm in a strange place. I'm already spooked. All kinds of weird crap happening all day long with the whoops and, and everybody's there.
Hmm.
So my buddy, he crashes right out, and I'm laying there now. They're skirting on the trailer, which is about, 2.5 feet up. So then the trailer itself. So I'm laying in this room, and I'm pushed against the wall in the corner,
Hmm.
and I can hear something out there outside. And I'm like, Ray, I'm talking to my buddy, Ray, wake up. And he's like, what? And I'm like, dude, there's something that, you can hear it. And it was like a heavy breathing. And I'm like, Ray, man. And he's like, dude, just go to sleep. It's probably a bear. It's probably the bear. And I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to go to sleep. And I'm laying there, and all of a sudden, bam, right by my head on the other side of the wall. So I come unglued. And I'm like, Ray. And he's like, dude, just don't worry about it. They like to eat the garbage, And I'm like, well, they had barrels out there that they put the garbage in, and they'd have strap lids, where they'd strap it closed. And so anyway, so he goes back to sleep. I'm laying there half petrified. And about 15 minutes went by, and I could hear it out there again, and there was another boom. And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm like, Ray, let's switch spots. I didn't want to be against the wall anymore. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay. So we switched spots and whatever. And eventually I fell asleep. So Sunday, it's time to go home. But up there, the whole family, Catholic. So, you go to church on Sunday morning. And that was my first time in a Catholic church. And, when did all the, where you got to take the biscuit and all that stuff like that, drink the wine. That was all new to me and never had
Communion.
done that
Yeah.
before. And then after church, you go back to Grandma and Grandpa's house. The girls go into the kitchen, and they do the 1 o'clock in the afternoon dinner. That's how it was back in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and everyone was, they called it dinner, and it was at like 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So all the guys, and we're out, me and the kids are out screwing around and Ray. And so we're all sitting at the table finally, the dinner gets ready. And so there's 4 generations there, Dave. Okay. There's great grandma, who was probably at that point, into her 80s at that point in time. Then there's my friend Ray's dad and mom. And then there's Ray, his sister, and his little brother. We're all sitting at the table there. And then Ray's 2 uncles up there. The youngest one was 25 at that point in time. And I know that because Ray, he was like a superhero. He could get on a dirt bike and he could do anything. And I mean anything. Actually, if you go all the way west to where it hits 65, right straight across is a gravel pit or a sand pit.
Here. Where at now? Which way?
If you keep going west on Belchner Road and you'll hit the main trunk, you'll see it. It's a sand pit. It's still there.
You mean right here?
Yeah, if you go, right across the main trunk, you'll see a road, and it goes into a sand pit. And you can see where they ride like their bikes and stuff in there.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Can you see it?
I think I see it right here.
It's it's just across the main trunk from Belchner Road.
Let's see. Is that oh, I see. Got it.
Yeah. So, he's this guy rides around. Actually, they had a dune buggy, and me and my buddy tried to start it. We couldn't get it to go. It's a VW. Mm-hmm. We were going to go to the sand pit without permission. And so we weren't able to start it. But anyway, so Uncle Gary, he's really good on a dirt bike and stuff. So he was around on Sunday, and he was doing a couple of tricks on it, showing off, whatever. But so anyway, we're all back, and we're at Grandma and Grandpa's, and we got 4 generations sitting at the table. And so Gary's the youngest of the adults. He's 25. Grandma's in her 80s. That would be his grandmother, my friend's great grandmother. And we're sitting at the table. All the windows are open. This is in August. So all the windows are open. It's beautiful. And all of a sudden, and I mean straight up, it started out low and it went into a scream, Dave. And I have recordings that I don't have the recordings myself. I could get you to look them up. You could find them. It's really easy. If you wanted to do that at this point, because years later, when I was listening to these vocalizations, and it's actually up in that area. And there was one in there that was almost dead identical to what we heard. And I mean loud. I'm talking as loud as you could possibly imagine. Mm-hmm. This vocalization happened. And it did it once. Everybody shut up. We're all sitting there, and then it did it again. And earlier in that day, I thought I had heard some howling and stuff too. But wolves. Everything's a wolf. Everything's a bear. So it does it again, and I mean it just in a crescendo, like a woman screaming. It ended in that. You know what I mean? And my hair was standing up. So great grandma, and there was a body language shift in the room, and it changed the tenor real quick. Great grandma looked at Gary, and they went into the tale. And so back to the house with the garden in the backyard. Mm-hmm. When Gary was they said Gary was around 8 or 9. Him and great grandma or his grandma were out in that garden, and they were, picking whatever they were doing, and in that small little tree line, that little tree line right behind it, um, they described it same thing, at least 8 feet tall, and it came out of that little tiny tree line, and it screamed at them, and it scared them really, really bad. You could tell when they were talking about it that they were like flashbacking, and you could just tell that. I mean, there was no way, And then of course my buddy's dad, the other brother, his dad looked at, and rolled his eyes, like, oh, here we go with this story, But yeah, so this thing, and I mean, it was loud, Dave, um, and then hearing that story, and you could tell they weren't lying. I mean, they were telling the truth, dude, God's truth, and they're God-fearing people and everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you want to look it up quick,
You can send me the link to that, and I'll attach it to this when I share it out to everybody on Facebook. Sometimes going into other stuff, it can kind of be wacky on the screen share sometimes. Google Maps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm not
things
good.
can run a little bit slower.
Yeah, I'm doing this on my phone, so I'm not
exactly.
I'm not technology savvy,
but
there are recordings. And if you ever want to get at it, or if you want to just write this down, and it's Bigfoot vocalizations, and it's St. Louis County, Minnesota.
Okay.
And in them vocalizations, and I wish you could just pull that up right now. I have it time stamped as well.
Yeah, send me that. Just send me the link to that and give me the timestamp, and then I'll go there, and I'll share that out too.
Yeah, I don't know the link. I don't. Yeah, I'm doing this on my phone, so.
Okay.
I mean, you could just type this in and it would come up. Would you be willing, Dave?
Yeah, let me see. Let me stop share there. And where is this at again?
It's Bigfoot vocalizations, St. Louis County, Minnesota.
Let's see. Does it got a blue screen on it, or this?
Yes, blue screen.
Okay, I got you. It's right here on YouTube.
And it's right. So if you hit, the timestamp would be between 4:45 and 4:60. But I wish I was on this computer and I could see what I'm doing again with you.
I'm going to share screen real quick so people can see this. Share screen. Now, I don't know if you guys can hear this, but I'm going to play it anyways. I'm playing it. Can you hear that?
Yes, barely, yes, but I can.
I have heard that one. I've heard that on the other vocalizations as well, like Bigfoot vocalizations. That was one of my favorite ones. It's like this crazy little howl and then a whoop at the end. Like, whoa.
Yeah, but the whoop, but there's the high whoop, and that high whoop was ended in, the high whoop was almost a scream. It was almost just a little bit higher pitch than that. And Dave, when I, because this, I'm screwing around. I'm like listening to all this stuff, and I heard that, dude, and it just, it was like, wow, dude, that's it. I mean, I got goosebumps. I was so excited. I can listen to it now, and it won't give me goosebumps.
I'm highlighting this right now, guys. It's St. Louis County, MN, suspected
Yep.
Sasquatch vocals recorded. You can pretty much do Bigfoot vocals, St. Louis County, and
Yeah.
then just put that into the YouTube search bar up here, and the optimization of it should be just fine. It looks
But
gorgeous.
you can listen to all of them, and they're pretty
Great
repetitive.
grab.
And that was the repetitive howls were kind of the ones that you could hear often a little bit in the distance. And he's like, "Oh, it's a wolf," you know.
Yeah.
And I could see where people might think that's a wolf if they don't really know what they sound like, but that's not a wolf.
Yeah.
Period. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that vocalization is basically the one that launched, you know, great grandma and Gary into the tale of any. I believe what they call, you know, they call it a bluff charge. So it came out, it screamed at him and bluff charged him. Grandma just grabbed Gary and dragged him in the house. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the end of that tale. But that's the book. And I mean, I couldn't believe the volume.
Is
It
it
was
like
the volume that.
this little tree line right here is stuff right behind that garden? That little
Yeah.
looks like
Yep.
a tree
Yep. It
island.
came out of that. Yep. It came out of that tree line right by that garden. I
Wow.
couldn't believe that garden was still there when I saw this.
That was a good place
Oh
for a
yeah.
garden.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah. So you know, I mean, I had the night that, you know, a couple of years later, I was telling the story, and people, you know, everybody's like, yeah, whatever, dude. You know, so I stopped. And for many years, I didn't, you know, I didn't really think about it. You know, you don't think about it. I didn't start, you know, and even when I was growing up, you know, my dad In Search Of was a big thing back then.
Yeah, no, me too.
And then the Patty film, you know, the whole Patty film, you've seen that a million times, even when I was a kid, you know, and even my dad would, because he was kind of, you know what I mean, he was kind of into it too, you know, and he's like, you know, my grandpa go, oh, it's just a guy in a monkey suit, you know, and my old man, I don't think my, you know,
800 of
so
them
right,
in the
you
last year
know,
all
it's
over
like,
the
come
world.
on, right. Somebody, I was talking to somebody about it the other day. I'm like, I got a interview coming up, and I was telling them a little bit, and they're like, yeah, whatever, dude. And I was like, no, you know, and it's like, if you go on now and you look up the information of how many sightings and how many there are, you know what I mean? It's just incredible, the amount of numbers. And people don't realize it, you know, that there's actually that many out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Interesting. That's cool, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then there's one more thing you could look up to,
Sure.
and it's on the YouTube. And now Stillwater, Minnesota, is just outside of St. Paul, which is, you know, St. Paul is the city. So it's. I mean, this is a very populated area. And back in, what was it, 2011? Where did that note go? There was an actual video. I had it written down. All right, if you YouTube this, and it says Farmer's Video captures Sasquatch north of Stillwater, Minnesota, 2011.
Let's see here.
And this guy, it's on there. And this guy plays this video over, you know, over and backwards, forwards, over and over and over and over, and kind of just talks about it. And it's a Auburn Sasquatch, and it's actually a video, and you don't really see it. And then there's a brief moment where it tucks and rolls underneath a branch, and you get a pretty clear shot of it. And the guy that's got it posted.
My screen. I'm not really. I don't know if I'm seeing it here or not. So share screen. Do you see which one here it is? Oh, wait,
No, I can't see what's going on.
I got one with a thermal.
No.
There's a farmer films large Bigfoot.
North of Stillwater?
It doesn't really say that. I've got farmer video capture Sasquatch Stillwater. It should be under there. I just don't. Sometimes when people put this stuff on here, they don't really
Right.
optimize things correctly. So then it makes it,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, it makes it really difficult to find anything if it's not properly optimized. So I started out in the
Right.
SEO world. So, you know,
Yeah. Because if you put in the
dominating on
date too,
YouTube.
too yeah. But yeah,
So,
yeah. So that's the whole thing, David. Many years, and I just started getting, you know what I mean. Right now, I'm in a position where I'm not working and stuff, so I get a little more time on my hands.
mhm.
So I've been doing a lot of listening, and that's how I stumbled upon you. And I'm like, these stories are great. Listening to your tales. And
Yeah,
I'm like, this
yeah,
is
no,
great.
it's
You
like
know
I
what I
tell people,
mean?
I sit there and I take like the the screaming incident in the garden. People will recant those to me in a short email or on a message on Facebook or something, and
Right.
I'll get something like 4 paragraphs or 14 pages, whatever, and then I'll turn it into a campfire story. So I'll turn it into
Yeah.
a story. So, and
Yeah.
because I like that, I'm a creative guy like that. I really like to write, even though I'm really
Oh,
bad
me too,
at
dude. It's
but
yeah, you're awesome, man.
so I just like to do that. I like to come from the more entertainment side. I leave
Right.
the real research to the big guys out here. The Shane Corsons, the whole Olympia project, and gosh, there's so many of them out here.
I
I
know, I
you know
know. It's
yeah, I leave that stuff to
incredible.
them.
I
I
mean,
try to give you guys the stuff that you want to hear whenever you're not able to get out there and do those things. So
right.
yeah,
Yeah, and I would, I mean, looking back at it, it was like, God, I wish I would have been a little more, you know what I mean,
yeah.
knowledgeable. Let's just put it that way.
Hmm.
You know, 40 years ago, that was just like with the Patty film and everything. Yep, there's a guy in a monkey suit.
Yeah,
All that good shit.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean that. Slip of the.
That's okay. I don't
But
think
yeah,
you're wrong for it.
Well, yeah, I'm totally into it now,
Cool.
and I wish I could
Awesome.
like get out and do something, you
Mhm.
know, go up and try and get some vocalizations or something. I got an
You can
uncle
get
that,
those little recorders, man, I've got one
oh,
around
I
here
got
that I
one.
like to use. Yeah, this little things for like, 15, $20 on Amazon and
Hmm.
you're good to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for sharing all this, man. That was awesome.
All right.
Hold on 1 minute and stick around.
I
I'll
was gonna say, I'm
just
sorry if it got confusing.
no, 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 no,
So,
no. That was great. I loved it. That was just awesome encounters. I like that. That's how I like it.
all right.
I like the realness because sometimes out here, I have to be honest. Sometimes I always tell people I believe about 10% of the stuff I hear out here.
Well,
And I'm
exactly,
like everybody
exactly,
else
Dave.
because and even that
Yeah.
10% is questionable because you weren't there. You don't know. You don't know what I saw that day in the snow and the footprints. You don't know what I experienced and what I heard. You weren't there. So
Exactly.
all I can do is give you my story, my encounter story, and then what we do
Exactly.
from that is I share all this stuff and put it out here in story because that way it gives, like right now we're showing a basic area where this happens. So Bigfooters from the Minnesota area might go out there, not bug people at their homes, please.
Right, right,
But
right. Yeah,
take
no,
a cruise
and
up
that.
there, drop a recorder off, throw up a trail cam somewhere out there where everybody's dirt biking, see what you see at night.
Well,
Um,
that's just it too. On the Bigfoot, BFRO, there's a couple of things up in northern Minnesota as well.
mhm.
So I've looked at a lot of that and stuff too. But it was like the whole thing. That was 40 years ago, and looking at it now with all the information that I know,
Yeah.
I know what I know what I saw. I know what it was.
Yep.
Back then, it was a bear.
Yep.
But yeah, so
Cool, man.
all right, Dave.
All right, buddy. Anyways, hold on
Well,
1 second. Thank you guys so
yep.
very much for being on here today. God bless you guys. I won't be on a call this Friday, but next Friday I will. We'll get out here and we'll talk a little Sasquatch live on YouTube. And with that, from the beautiful Pacific Northwest and PacWest Bigfoot, God bless, guys.